Welcome to Walailak University Global Program. This program serves as a forum where foreign scholars, educational institutions manager, and researchers can share their views, observations, the experiences with the community of scholars of Walailak University. I'm Surin Maisrikrod, Vice President for Global Engagement, and I'm very honored today to have Mr. Eran Williams from the U.S. Embassy, who is Director of the Regional English Language Office, or RELO, with us on the program today. So welcome.
Thank you so
welcome,
much.
Mr. Williams. Thank you.
Vice President Surin, it's great to be here.
Sure.
Thank you for your warm welcome. This is my first time in Konsi Tamarat, so it's wonderful to be here at Walailak University.
And what have you seen so far?
We got to visit the great botanic garden yesterday, and we got a tour of the university. We saw the old archaeological site, which is very impressive to think about the history of Thailand. And we saw a beautiful sunset and had some great seafood.
Thank you. That's great that you have had that opportunity.
Right.
And first of all, I would like to ask you about the role of RELO. RELO is R-E-L-O, the Regional English Language Office, which is based at the U.S. embassies in Bangkok. So broadly speaking, what is the role of the office?
Right, so the Regional English Language Office is a small office with a big mission in Thailand and the Southeast Asian region that we work in. Basically, we promote English teaching and we support English teachers and English students in Thailand. We do that through professional development workshops, conferences, through exchange programs where we bring American experts to Thailand. We send Thais to the United States to do workshops. So some of our main partners are actually universities in Thailand.
And actually, I understand that the RELO Bangkok is actually responsible for other countries in the region as well.
That's right. We all travel extensively. Right now, our region includes Myanmar, Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, and the Pacific being multiple nations.
And so you have this extensive experience, and yourself also being a diplomat responsible for this sort of public diplomacy for more than 20 years, more than 2 decades, and then you've been based, I understand, in the Middle East and now in Asia. And of course, I think everyone agrees that English language is such a very important language. It has become a lingua franca of the world and all of that. So I just like you to reflect on your experiences, having been to many places, having contacted teachers and relevant people who try to teach English to a younger generation. What has been your observations?
Well, first of all, it's been a great privilege to be able to support English teachers around the world. Having been an English teacher for 10 years before I joined the U.S. State Department, I know what a challenging job being a teacher is. I know how important it is, and I know how oftentimes teachers, and this is true around the world, oftentimes teachers don't get the support that they need. Oftentimes they don't even get the respect that they deserve. So I just want to say it's a great honor to be working for the U.S. government to help English teachers around the world, and especially now in Thailand. We got a chance to visit a school yesterday here in Nakhon Si Thammarat, and it's always energizing to see the work that's going on at the grassroots level where students are being introduced to the language. As you said, it's an essential skill now, English. It's not just another subject. It's something that is sort of the foundation of 21st century skills. I would say it's similar to computer experience or computer abilities. Simply almost every workplace expects one to have that knowledge. So what I've seen around the world is it's a difficult task. As you mentioned earlier in our meeting, the different methods of teaching English, and I think a lot of schools are still struggling with what the best ways to teach English are. So a lot of times when we bring an expert to Thailand, they'll help teachers to adopt and adapt some of the methods that might be more effective than sort of traditional grammar translation methods, which will help students pass tests in school, but not necessarily to use English as a tool for communication, which is why it's really important. I think that's the key problem that most school systems face, is they teach English as a subject, and they can say they're successful because their students pass the exam, but even after passing the exam, students don't have the ability to use English in real life situations, in the workplace, because English wasn't taught as a skill, it was taught as a subject, and those are very different goals.
That's very excellent comment there. The difference between skills and as a subject. You know, there's a lot of people are saying that learning English is just like learning how to ride a bicycle. You can't study bicycle expecting that you'll be able to ride a bicycle. You've got to do it, and then you'll get on with it.
And it's interesting that we all know that with our first language, right? The first language, we could say, comes naturally, and we, like Chomsky said, the brain is a language learning machine. It's like innate in us. But somehow we forget that when we're at school and we learn a second language or a foreign language.
I think it's great that you visited a local school yesterday, and in fact it's not very far from the campus of Walailak University, and you observed the class. You saw how students reacted and how the class was conducted and all of that. If you were to ask for some recommendations to the teachers at that school, what would you say in terms of improving the teaching methods, or maybe the way that students learn the English language, the way they use English to communicate?
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, the class that we observed yesterday had some excellent components. So the teacher was doing a lot of things right. She had good visuals, so she was using posters in the classroom. She had technology, she showed students a video, and these were very young students, maybe 10-year-old students, 9. And you have to let young students move, and she did. So they were dancing in the class to the video about the seasons, and she did group work. So she had the class break up into different groups to do an assignment around the seasons. I'd say the lesson planning was excellent. So rather than sort of saying the deficiency, I'd really like to point out that even with sort of lower resources, even at a regional school, excellent teaching exists and can really thrive. I think that what I would recommend is to offer those same students the opportunity to use English outside the classroom, which is not easy in a place where there just isn't a lot of English in the atmosphere. Right. So I would have the students sort of understand that learning a language is an enormous task. You don't have enough time in the classroom to really master English. If they're going to learn English, they're going to have to sort of find their key. Like, what is it that attracts you to this language? Is it Justin Bieber? Is it popular music? Is it superheroes? Is it games, computer games? Is it literature or some TV show, Friends? I've met a lot of people around the world who have learned English through watching, American popular TV shows like Friends. And what's interesting to me is the individuals I meet who really have mastered English, it's really almost never because of school. It's because they had the motivation and the passion to learn it outside of school. That's not to take away from the essential role of the teacher, but I think teachers maybe need to understand that their ability to motivate their students is more important than their ability to teach their students. They have to engender a love of English if the English learning is going to be successful. But I think the teacher we saw yesterday did that because she made it fun. And I think that's what teachers need to do, because those students, when they go home to their probably Fisher family housing, their parents don't speak English. Their parents probably don't have any English books in the house. Their parents, there's no signs in English around them probably. So they'll have to find their own way to access the input that they need to really learn the language. Right.
Mr. William, I think you have answered part of my next question already, which is that I've been observing what happened in Thailand in terms of there is contradicting trends going on. I think everybody in Thailand realizes that English is such a very important language in so many aspects of people's life, career, particularly in the area of professional development, and all of that. The internet, the new knowledge that's coming in, into the scene is always in English. But at the same time, what has happened to these countries is that when you look at the world's English proficiency index produced by Education First organization based in Switzerland, Thailand's English proficiency out of 116 countries, now we dropped from 2 digits, now we are 106 out of 116. And among ASEAN countries, out of 10 countries in ASEAN, we just ahead of one country, which is Laos. Not to talk badly about our neighbor, but that is a situation in our country. How you are an expert and you've been traveling, you've been having such extensive experience in this area. How would you account for this kind of phenomenon? Maybe a bit tough.
Yeah, I worked recently in Vietnam, and that's an interesting comparison. In Vietnam, the government has a very ambitious plan. Initially, they had a 5-year plan. Now that the 5-year plan is over, they've got a 20-year plan to create English medium of instruction in their schools. So they basically want to become a bilingual country. And I think they have the advantage of a very strong central government, which can make things happen. So if they want to spend more on teacher training, they can do it, maybe more easily than other countries. But I think you have to have that ambition as a government, and you have to share that with the schools. I think history also plays a part. In places like the Philippines, where they've gone back and forth between English and other languages as official national languages or language of instruction, they do have the history of colonization, which brought English to their country, which Thailand doesn't have. Thailand has a different history. But I wouldn't pay too much attention to the international rankings necessarily. I'm not sure how valid the English first rankings are, because those are sort of based on voluntary visitors to their centers or people who want to use their courses. So that's not maybe a good sample of across the society. So I think that Thailand has excellence just like any other country. And I wouldn't worry too much about international rankings. I'd worry more about the quality of education. As a former teacher and as somebody who works with teacher professional development, I think that the teacher is the key, is the core of your education system, not technology, not textbooks, not curriculum. I think a good teacher can make a bad curriculum good, but a good curriculum cannot make a bad teacher good. So the teacher is really the agent of education, and I think focusing on teacher professionalization in Thailand is really the important thing. So the easiest way to improve English language education is to ensure that your English teachers are proficient. And I think in a lot of countries, the English teachers do not have the proficiency that they're supposed to be teaching to their students. So maybe that's the first place to intervene.
See. And your observation on that of Thai teachers at schools?
My observation is that a lot of English teaching in Thailand is in Thai. Yeah.
So you teach about language, to teach about English rather than teach English.
Right, yeah. And again, that works in terms of passing school exams, but it doesn't really succeed in terms of being able to communicate. Now, it's not, I think, like I said before, it's not a challenge that's restricted to Thailand or that is specific to Thailand. I think in the United States we face the same problem. Our foreign language teaching is often unsuccessful. I studied Spanish in high school, and there's not a lot of foreign languages required in most public schools in the United States. You can get your high school diploma with just a couple foreign language classes. That was my experience. That was a long time ago. But after studying Spanish for a few semesters, I still couldn't speak any Spanish. I passed the class, but I could not use Spanish. It was when I traveled in Mexico and Central America that I first started to really develop my proficiency in the language. So I think the job of a foreign language teacher or a second language teacher is a very challenging one. And again, you need to do more than just work in the class. You need to inspire your students to develop a love of the language so that they will become lifelong learners, because it takes a long time to learn a language.
Am I correct to say, to conclude then, that a very important requirement for English teacher is to go into a classroom and then use English to teach English?
It is important, yes. So the English classroom may be the only place where students get exposure to that input. But if they don't get English language input in the classroom, they're never going to get it. And we know as linguists that without input, you can't have output. So,
particularly normally in school, the hours allocated for English teaching is probably 4, 5, 6 hours per week.
right.
So that even students even have limited opportunity to be exposed to the language.
Right.
So relevant to that, or maybe I'm not sure whether they're relevant, but for example, here at Walailak University, we want to make sure that we use English to teach English. So where the majority of our instructors are non-Thai speaking, so they have no choice. They go in there, they have to use English to speak. But we have a variety, we have different nationalities, different people from different, like instructors who are from different countries who would then speak English rather differently. So students, the good thing about this is that students are exposed to different ways of speaking English, maybe with accent they understand, Filipino is different from Indonesian and all of that, different from Americans and the British. But you are, as an expert in this area, I'd like you to comment on this situation that we are having here, whether is that the right way, is a good way of doing things in terms of promoting English proficiency, or there should be a different ways of thinking about that. I'm responsible for that policy, by the way.
Well, I think one of the reasons that American universities are so good, or why American universities are the best in the world, is because American universities are international. So we draw the best students and the best professors from around the world. And in a sense, when you go to an American university, you have a very international experience, and that is important in this day and age to understand different perspectives and different accents. So I used to teach English at a university in the United States. I used to teach writing, essay writing, and also academic communication, academic English. And a lot of times my students would complain and say, hey, I can understand you very well, but when I go to my engineering class, there's a Chinese American professor and I can't understand his accent. So I do think it's important for language learners now, for English students, to be able to understand a variety of accents, because there are more non-native speakers of English than there are native speakers. So the chances are that a Thai student, Walailak student, is going to encounter, an Australian is a native English speaker, is going to encounter somebody from China who's using English to be a tourist or to come to study at the university, or they're going to talk to somebody from Vietnam. And since English is, as you said, the lingua franca, they're going to be using English to communicate. So I think I wouldn't focus too much as a university on a kind of target accuracy that was linked to any particular accent or nationality. I think it is important with English as a lingua franca to accept the varieties that appear around the world. There are more, in terms of native speakers, there are more people from the country of India who are native speakers than any other country. So you could argue that that is the most important accent or variety of English. Nigeria, also very large population. So what about Nigerian English? I think if we're going to accept that English is an international language, we have to accept that it has many sources, not just one source.
And there has now been an argument that why study English now? Because you have applications, you have AI to help you out. You can translate instantly from one language to another. From English into English, from English into their native language. What is your view on that? The role of AI and English language teaching.
We still need that skill and ability personally, and that interpersonal interaction. That AI is a powerful tool, but not a panacea or not a replacement for the teacher. In terms of the translation, it's getting better. And I think we can certainly use it. I was in a taxi in Bangkok the other day, and the Grab driver was trying to explain to me that she didn't have the cash for paying the toll. So she needed some cash. So she and I failed to communicate for a while, and then she typed it into her phone and showed me the translation. That was very successful. So I gave her 50 baht. But I think AI is still often wrong, or translations are often not particularly subtle. I've been doing some research on AI personally, like investigating some of the tools, and I think they're very good, and it can be very impressive that, it can write a poem about what we did in class today in sort of 5 seconds. It can write a good lesson plan. It can write graded texts. So if I say I want an essay on flooding in northern Thailand for a 5th grade class, it can produce that instantly. But it still lacks the subtle sophistication of a human mind, I would say. So I don't trust AI to identify teachable moments in the classroom as they arise and be able to exploit those the same way that a teacher can. In terms of will technology make it unnecessary to study language? I don't think so, partly because when we study language, it's also about improving it's like fine-tuning our minds. So we think through language. So if we don't study language and if we don't become linguists ourselves, then I think we're missing out on an opportunity to develop our own intelligence or our own way of thinking. And I think that's why universities need to offer foreign languages and linguistics, is not just because, maybe some student will need the Burmese language at some point or Mandarin, but also because as we study foreign languages, we begin to understand our own language better, and we understand the way our mind works because our thinking happens through language. So to study language is to study the mind, really.
I'm very glad to hear that. Now I'm going to use your argument, your explanation, to argue with other people who have come with different ways of arguing.
Yeah, for example.
No, that's just an excellent, because it's a cultural.
Yeah.
It's a cultural understanding as well.
Right. An example is I used to teach academic writing at university in the United States, and I think a lot of students now would say, hey, you give me an essay topic, and AI, ChatGPT, large language models, can produce a very good essay. Probably you give it an A as a grade in 5 seconds. So why do I need to learn to write? And I would say, my counter argument to that would be, you need to learn to write in order to learn to think. If you let AI think for you all the time, then that's going to paralyze you. If you let AI think, then AI is going to take your job. So you need to stay on top of your game. So we learn to write or to use a language not just to communicate, but also to sharpen the tool of thought.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, excellent thoughts. I thought I would have a great answer from you, which I got. So thank you so much for that. Now, you don't have to commit anything. What I'm going to ask next is about possible collaborations between, let's say, RELO, or you as a middle person can connect our university, Walailak University, with US university. So what are some of the things that you think it might be possible that in terms of collaborations in this area to improve both our students and probably staff as well? Because the other thing that we are working very hard to achieve is to get our teachers, our lecturers, to teach their subject matters in English, to use English as a medium of instruction. So again, that is a huge area of development that we are working on at the moment at Walailak University. So from your point of view, who can see a much broader pictures of things, and what would be your suggestions, some of your suggestions?
Yeah, there are many ways that we can partner with Walailak University. We actually have a history of partnership, our office does. We had an English language fellow based here a few years ago. That program, the English language fellow, brings an American TESOL professional to Thailand to a university to teach for a year, and generally they teach pre-service English teachers, so people who are going to go out into public schools to teach English, but they also teach general English to the students. that's one way that we partner with universities in Thailand. We also use those English language fellows to facilitate professional development activities throughout the country. So in Ubon Ratchathani, we're going to have a mini conference, 2-day conference for 100 English teachers. In Hat Yai, in Pitsanalok, we'll have the same sort of thing. So we can, we often rely on universities to convene audiences for us. And once the audience is convened, we can provide some of the human capital or the human resources to convey or to develop the expertise of that audience.
Absolutely, we can work. We can do that.
Great.
Yes.
We also have worked with EMI, English Medium of Instruction, around the world and helped universities to leap that hurdle, because it's not an easy task to sort of retrain a faculty that are used to working in this case, Thai. To tell them to teach in English is not an easy task. But we have a significant pool of experts who have worked in EMI around the world that we can draw from, Americans who are some of the top people in their field. The nice thing about those exchanges through the English language specialist program is that they can also develop ties between universities. And that's just our small office. The public affairs section writ large, more broadly, includes Fulbright, and all of the academic exchanges through Fulbright includes sort of some programs with university partnerships and other types of speaker programs, so you could invite an American diplomat to come here to be a speaker, etc.
And one thing, Mr. William, I would like to see more young Americans traveling. I'm not sure, I'm not knowledgeable, maybe they travel to other places in Thailand, but we have not seen a sizable number of them coming through Nakhon Si Thammarat, particularly we don't have enough American students coming through our university, short term, medium term, or whatever. Are there any ways that we can promote that?
I think there are. I think Thailand has a huge advantage in attracting foreign students and teachers, in that it's a wonderful country where everyone wants to come visit. So the magnet that is Thailand is attracting a lot of people, both to be tourists, but also digital nomads who are here to work, or people who are here to retire. And I think as Thailand becomes more popular and more well known, Americans and everybody else is going to be searching for places, new places. So I imagine Nakhon Si Thammarat will become a more popular, unfortunately. There will be more foreigners coming through here, I'm sure, as places like Phuket or Pattaya kind of become exhausted from all of the attention, international attention that they get. But I think in general, American university students are looking for international experience and international opportunities that they can put on their resumes. And I think U.S. universities are also looking for international partnerships. So maybe we can help you to make inroads into those universities.
And my last question is, I realize, of course, that you've been to Walailak University only yesterday. You arrived only yesterday, and you've seen some of the places. And today you will be meeting with more people and all of that. Maybe it's not fair to ask this question, but anyway, I'm asking anyway. What is your impression of a university so far?
Well, it's beautiful and very colorful. I think you described the university as sort of emerging and striving, and I think that maybe sets you apart from other universities, in that as kind of the newcomer that wants to prove themselves, that's trying new things, that's bringing methods or innovations from other countries, that's always looking for opportunities. So that's in a way a very American attitude, that sort of that fighting spirit of maybe distinguishes the university. And as you said this morning, also being a regional university that wants to be high quality. And because of concern for the students in this province.
I really thank you, Eran William, for being with us today, for talking on this program. And of course, your views will be shared among the scholars of Walailak University and countrywide, worldwide. So thank you again for appearing on the program, for joining us, and we're honored to have you here today. Thank you so much, sir.
My pleasure. Thank you, Vice President Surin.